Okey doke.
So we just need
Another person.
Susan Domberg. Yes.
G rather, not Susan M, sorry. I
Here
know what I
she
meant. You didn't, but I did.
Whoops.
Hi, Susan Gomberg.
Hi, hello.
Hi.
Hi, Susan. This is Susan.
Hi, Susan.
Janice.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Janice.
And that's everybody.
That's it. Here we are. So here we are. We're going to I'm going to just say that we're conducting this virtual meeting per state statute that allows us to conduct a virtual meeting. So I'll call the meeting to order and then we can just say that we're here. Okay, so I'm calling the meeting to order at 5:31 p.m.
Now we need to do roll call, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Gomberg, present.
Gray, present.
Millinger present.
And Scott present. So the first I sent around the agenda, and under community resources, I have just a few things that have come across the email and the mail to tell you about. But also at that point, Susan Millinger is going to give us a report on an event that she attended.
Thank you.
Okay, so that is that. So the first item is our 7/14/21 meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve?
I move to
Mrs.
approve the
Gomberg?
minutes as, sorry. Susan G, did you want to go? Well, I'll go ahead then. This is Gray. Gray moves to approve the minutes as presented.
Gomberg, I second that.
Okay. So if there's no further, is there any discussion? Otherwise, we'll do a roll call vote
Gomberg, aye.
Gray, aye.
Millinger, aye.
And Scott, aye. Okay.
Can I throw out something really quick that's related to this?
Yes, of course.
I have added to my own agenda written under unanticipated topics, and I'm happy to do this another time. We did not get at our last meeting because of the thunderstorm
Yes.
to the website and to member time estimates. So they should be carried forward to someplace. So that's
Website,
all.
and what was the other one?
There was the website and then member time estimates. They were on the last
Oh, right.
agenda.
Thank you, Janice. Thank you. Thank you. I admit that I'm so used to coordinating and going over the agenda with Joanne. And so thank you for helping me.
One of that noted, I'd be happy not to go into it tonight, but there you
Okay.
are.
Yes, yes. So, all right. So noted. All right. So the first item is a financial update, which I, at the last meeting, said that I would do, do a detailed, I would ask Gail Weiss, our town accountant, for a 2021 expenditure report for our grant, which I did. And so Susan Millinger, I know you're taking the minutes, and if we can go over these together if, subsequently, if it's all not clear.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so what I'd like to do is tell you that I reviewed, I did a cursory review when I first received the report on the 20th of July. And then I did a second review, and I found one question which Gail clarified. And then today I did a much more detailed review, in other words, checking and double checking are the invoices versus the report. And so adding in, I found an error, which I believe is, I believe there's an error, and I believe it's my fault that one invoice I received and created, but I'm not certain I ever actually sent it to Gail. So I've got that in process with Gail. The bottom line, taking everything into consideration, in other words, everything that was expended in FY21, plus there are a couple of things that were processed after the end of the fiscal year, but this is still our, our grant. So as of today, we have $2,376.61 in our grant account.
Okay, so this is as of today.
As of today, these numbers are as of today. And when you're ready, I can tell you the breakdown
Sure.
for the year. I'm going to give you the breakdown to date, so as not to confuse matters, but to
Okay.
date. So we're good. So for foot care, from the beginning of FY21 through today, we expended $1,735. We donated $500 to Village Neighbors from our grant. We expended $3,700 on fitness classes. And $670 on museum passes. Okay? Everybody good?
Good.
Okay. So that's the scoop there. And we have received 2 invoices. One, we received our MCOA, Mass Council on Aging, dues for FY22 of $230. You'll recall that last year, the Executive Office of Elder Affairs decided not to charge, the Executive Office of Elder Affairs covered the dues, the MCOA dues, for the councils in the Commonwealth, so that we'd have more money for programming or whatever. But this year we're being asked to pay our dues. So so we have that invoice to consider. And I know that in the past we were not certain about paying these dues, but I can tell you that I see the COA email, and, I could forward more of the MCOA emails to you. But the main thing that they do for us is advocacy on the state level, um, to make sure that our grants are funded where they need to be. Um, and, not so much for us, of course, but they do provide a lot of support for the larger councils, but not so much for us. Uh, but they do, so they have trainings which we've not taken part in because mostly they don't apply to us. But so anyway, there it is. We have that, the dues to consider. So I'll tell you that. And then the second, they actually sent us an invoice in case we decided. Village Neighbors sent a letter asking us to contribute $1,000 on an annual basis. They wrote a nice letter. And one thing that I thought of is, if you'd like, we could wait till our next meeting to consider both of these, and I could scan these letters and send them to you so that you can read them. And I thought of it too late today, but I could do that and you could read them and then may feel more feel better informed.
Sounds good to me, Gomberg.
Okay.
This is Janice. I didn't write the number down and I should have. What's the MCOA dues request again?
$230.
Okay, no, 200 and something. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Hmm.
Could I ask for a reminder of what we gave to Village Neighbors last year? Because we returned money to them as well as the 500.
Yes, we returned $900 to them, and that came from our program line, which is not our grant line. That came from the line where that money was held. So that was a separate,
Right.
and then from our grant, we expended $500
Right.
in response to a similar letter that we received last year.
What I'm thinking is that Village Neighbors may not have distinguished as clearly as we do between those two sources.
Well, we did send letters explaining to them. They do recognize in this letter that we supported them with checks for $900 on October 10, 2020, and $500 on March 1, 2021.
Yes.
Yeah. But we know.
Yes.
I think they asked for 1,000 last time also, didn't they?
Yes. Yes, you're correct, Susan. So do you want to consider one or both of these tonight, or would you rather wait till September and I can scan and send you the letters?
Yes, my suggestion would be to wait and see how much other business we want to transact in this meeting.
Okay.
And before we decide, maybe we would want to discuss them now. Maybe we would want to discuss them in September.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, so we'll put them, we'll table them for now. Everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Janice?
Gomberg, yes.
I have to unmute or else figure out how to use the little hand icon thing. I would say yes. Let's do as Susan Millinger suggests.
Okay, I tabled them. Okay, and so the next item is the foot clinic report. And that's, you all received, hopefully, the notes from our Susan and my meeting with the Board of Health on the 21st of July. Susan Gomberg,
Yes.
do you, would you like to lead this discussion?
Sure. Yeah. So we met with the Board of Health, and before either one of us had a chance to say anything other than hi, the person who I think is the chairman seemed to be in charge. I don't know who it was. Said, "So you want to meet back at the town hall again for the foot clinic?" And we kind of were taken aback by that because, as Linda and I had discussed prior to the meeting, we were just going to go and see what they thought about it and what procedure would be followed. So they seemed to assume we were breathing down their necks or our necks to get back there. But we did clarify that. Linda did say how we're just there getting some possible advice about possibly coming back. Turns out, and I was quite surprised, that basically they said, sure, come on back. You don't have to do anything special. If you want masks, fine.
Right, they said we could
suggested
require masks. Yeah,
we could require
they
masks
said,
if
they
we
said,
wanted
they
to.
actually said two, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we didn't need to. Also, there's no special cleaning that needs to be done regarding beyond what we normally would do. And we had to kind of enlighten them as to how the nurse actually takes care of cleaning between patients. You know, she doesn't use the same instruments, etc. So we got all that straightened up. But basically, it's if we want to, we could start investigating coming back to that same space. There's still some work to be done on that. This was happening just as the Delta variant was starting to take over again. And since that time, which was a couple of weeks ago, more places are requiring masks, and it's getting more obvious that things are not as they were a month ago, say. So my thoughts are, let's back off for the moment in terms of going back to meeting in the town hall and see what the Delta variant does and what goes on from here. The end.
This is Janice. You answered my question about where were we with the Delta variant when this meeting was happening. So I thought this is right on the cusp of things. So thank you.
Right.
Yeah. Yes. Susan and I did, after, I guess, it was last week, when we were compiling the notes, that Susan and I talked to review the notes, and given where we are, I can say that I feel apprehensive about trying to have a foot clinic, an in-person foot clinic in town hall at this point in time. And that it's, as Susan Gomberg said, thus far, the folks that participate in the foot at home program are happy with that. No one is asking us to come back to town hall. And we haven't
Except the
received
nurse.
any, except the nurse. We haven't received any phone requests, new inquiries. Of course, we haven't put anything out in quite a while about our foot clinic. I think it's been 6 months since we put anything out. You know what I mean? We did a town announce saying that we would accept new clients. And we had one response.
It was also in our town.
That's right. Thank you, Janice. Thank you.
So,
Yeah.
it wasn't just town announced. So we had a chance to catch those people who don't get the announcements too.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. And we will have an upcoming issue of our town, and we can put it in there again. So anyway, Janice and Susan Millinger, your thoughts? Susan?
Does Janice want to go first?
No,
Okay, I definitely agree that we need to wait and see what the Delta variant, how that responds, how it develops in our area, in the state at large. I am still very concerned about the figures that I found earlier in the summer, and maybe they've changed, but what to me was a very low percentage of seniors in Shutesbury who've been vaccinated. And since we can't ask them if they've been vaccinated when they come to the foot clinic, I sure don't want people coming who may not have been vaccinated.
Mhm. Yes, I recall that those statistics were particularly in the people over 75, that there, that it was lower than for people 65 to 7 or 60 to 7. I don't remember the breakdown, but yes, I remember that. Janice Gray?
well, sorry about my machine beeping. Oh, that's why I keep muting. I also heard something interesting on public radio the other day, which made me think of what Susan had found, Susan Millinger. And that is that some of these statistics for small towns are, I believe in the Commonwealth in particular, are a little misleading because the data are compiled based on zip code. So they were given an example of Heath, but Amherst, Shutesbury is the same way. We have Amherst zips. So we may have more or fewer people for 75 and over vaccinated than even those statistics suggest. I don't know.
Oh,
But I
interesting.
thought I'd throw that out there. It just was the other day. I thought, oh, interesting.
Right.
Definitely.
Oh, that is interesting. Yeah. If it's based on mailing address versus physical. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know how Amherst's figures compare to Shutesbury's, but it may be skewed one way or the other.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't feel we should be rushing back into town hall for this purpose either.
Yeah.
Yep.
I myself feel the same way. I feel very apprehensive. I mean, because it's not only it's the nurse, it's our nurse who this is her job, and she's trained and used to making house calls. But we would be Susan Gomberg and I, we'd have to create all these strategies for how to take care of ourselves, particularly Susan G, who used to greet everybody, so we'd have to figure out all kinds of different things too. And it just feels, I think we agree on this, Susan G?
Yes, it's just not quite the right time.
Yep. Okay. All right. So it sounds like we're in consensus. So
Yes.
So now we're in a little bit of a situation whereby, and maybe Susan G, you have some insight into this. We agreed to be home visits through the end of this month. So I don't know where
Right.
people stand with their appointments.
Well, I'm sure at this point people have appointments for September already.
Mhm.
She'll be seeing people next Wednesday.
Okay.
I don't think it's me, but at that point, people will make appointments for October. What about just doing it for another 2 months and see what happens? Like
Okay.
in 2 months, either everything will be more masked up than it is now, or perhaps Delta will start going away and Lambda won't be on its heels.
Right, okay. So Susan has proposed that we continue the home visit program for 2 more months and see where we are. I guess we would have to, we'll just have to see where we are and I could let Vanessa Eastman, our contact, know that, we're gonna basically be going, month by month at this point, to see, where we are.
That's a good idea, yes.
Janice says, quoting a former president that isn't the last one, "It would be prudent."
Okay, so this seems to be a decision to make a vote on,
Oh,
the continuing, in other words, to continue the home visit program.
are we specifying the 2 months or?
Susan G proposed through October.
I just didn't know if that was part of the, it's not a motion yet, but the idea is rather than just, we're going to continue the home visits, we're going to continue the home visits until blank, or just leave it open.
Well,
Yeah.
that's a concept, until further notice.
Just keep rolling, keep the 1 month, keep it as whatever Janice just said, kind of keep it going as it is now.
Okay, so we're gonna just, it seems like what we're considering is, if I got it right, rather than specifying months, we're going to continue the home visit program for the foreseeable future,
In its current state.
given the current state, yes. Okay,
Yeah.
is that okay, Janice?
Yeah, I was even thinking the 2 month thing because I don't know how it works, but let's say I come in next Wednesday and I already have an appointment for September, and the nurse says, well, actually I don't come in, but the nurse comes to me in my house and says, do you want to sign up for October? I don't know if there's going to be support from the Council on Aging to help me pay for that or not. Do we want to go to 2 months or is 1 month at a time okay? I don't know.
I think what we're saying is that we'll continue the home visit program for the foreseeable future. In other words, or we're just going to continue it.
Okay,
Is that right, Susan Gomberg?
Yes.
Rather than specify a month or 2 months, because we don't know. And rather than saying we're continuing, I don't know.
I apologize. I kind of sort of thought that we were going to revisit this every single month, and it was like every month we do it again, and I thought that makes sense, but I misunderstood.
We would need to reconsider it every 2 months. And luckily, the visits are the 3rd week and we meet the 2nd week. So we could always make a decision in October about whether it's before the nurse signs the October people up for December, but she's going to be signing the September people up for November.
Right,
So,
right.
So we would continue the foot care payment or whatever in its current form of home care visits and would review in the 2 months, something like that.
That's what I was trying to ask, and maybe I shouldn't be asking it.
Well, so we're when we say continue, that means that we would be continuing the same level of support.
Yes,
that we have
until
been.
Okay.
further notice, but we'll review this policy in 2 months, something
Right.
like that.
Right. I'm reluctant to say, because of how people schedule their appointments. In other words, August people are scheduling for October, September people are scheduling for November. And so if
but
we,
that's not the end of the world, because Susan could always, there are only like 4 or 5 people a month.
Mhm.
Susan could call them up and say, we're going to go back in town hall in November. So just transfer your time to town hall, right?
Right. I mean, and at that point, though, we don't know how people are going to feel about that.
No, but I have a feeling people are going to be more confident than we are about going back to town hall.
Mm,
And I say that having spent the weekend with a 92-year-old who had a whole bunch of friends in their 80s over who were very happily going around hugging one another and not wearing masks while I was in the corner thinking, oh, we shouldn't be doing this. So what I'm saying is the seniors are, I think, are more casual. A lot of them are more casual about COVID than we are.
Okay. All right. So
Hurry, I started.
Deanna, make a motion and we'll see what we do with it.
Oh, no,
okay?
not me. I muddied all the waters up here. So let me try this and see if I've got it right, sort of.
Okay.
So I move that we continue the foot care program in homes as currently being conducted with the same fee schedule or whatever you want to call it, to be reviewed indefinitely, to be reviewed in October.
Okay. Second, is there a second?
I second
Well,
Scumberg.
I had written down something that was not as complicated as what Janice said.
That's,
So
that's what worries me. Yes, sorry.
okay, what I have is move that the COA continue the foot care home visit program in its current state for the foreseeable future. It will be reviewed in October.
Okay, foreseeable future is the phrase I didn't have. So yeah.
Okay. So
Janice,
But
are
what
you
she
okay
just
with-
said, I just moved. Okay.
You
Okay.
accept a substitute motion,
Yes,
Janice?
yes, I
Okay.
do. Foreseeable future sounds better than indefinitely.
okay. Second,
For
please.
Scumberg, I second it.
all right. Roll call vote.
Scumberg,
Is there any
aye.
further discussion? Okay. Gomberg says aye
Ray, I.
Millinger, aye.
and Scott aye. And I will email Vanessa Eastman and let her know. That's the plan. Okey doke.
Thank you, says Janice. Great.
Okey doke.
All right. All right. Okay. Survey.
Where we got cut off last time when it got really dark and then loud.
We sure did. Yeah.
What I was starting to say was that the only reason I came up with that self-mailer was money,
Mhm.
because we thought we'd have to outsource the entire thing, and maybe we still will. If we could, but I didn't know if it'd be worth it. And then the idea of the 17 by whatever sheet of paper he was doing, that just seems to be overly complicated. In a normal world, which we're not in, maybe we're closer than we think. The simplest way to do it would be to have a survey on a sheet of paper that goes into an envelope. And if we're really nice about it, we include an envelope inside, a smaller envelope that is addressed to us and maybe even has postage paid through a bulk permit. I don't know if we can do that, to make it really simple and clear and not complicated, which I think is the best way to reach folks. But that in outsourcing to another company can be expensive, because you're dealing with three pieces of paper there, even if you don't have the return envelope, which I think is going to encourage people to send it back. So when I read, and now it's like, okay, are we mutating my own idea here? Now that, so the Board of Health said on the 21st that we're opening, where did it go? In-person meetings about to start, blah, 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 blah. Before COVID, we might have said, okay, we'll have a mailing party at town hall. We'll take a stack of these things each and we'll stuff them and they'll go out. I'm not saying we can do that, but maybe we could do a hybrid, so-called version of that, where, I could pick up, I don't know, let's say we have 500, whatever 500 divided by 4 is, and then do a bunch at home and bring them back. I mean, we did this the 250th, I think, for some mailing we did. I'm just trying to make it simple, but I don't want to cost us a lot of money. So that's where I was headed with that maybe we need to back away from the self mailer as not necessary and think of something else. That's all.
Thank you, Janice. The other piece is that Joanne was working with Marianne
Right.
on an online survey. Um, um,
And there were also going to be a revision of the survey draft to include some other information, such as some of the ideas that came out from that dementia report that Joanne saw.
Right.
Something like, do you need help with someone at home or something like that? There were a couple of possibilities that were thrown out there at that meeting.
Right.
So we're
Right.
not ready to fly no matter what format we use in terms
Agree.
of a physical mailing.
Yes, thank you, Janice. I agree, particularly because we don't have Joanne right now. And, she was really working on the survey and in terms of content, revising it and the online portion. So what I'll just say that what I've learned from working with Ken Adams at Adams Direct Mail Services and doing our newsletter is that when it all shakes out, because of what they do, it does not cost all that much more, really. So depending what we end up with, it's really fast because it's all automated. And they bring it all to the post office for us. They do all the bulk mailing, which I know you all don't know about, but that's a big deal for me.
Yes.
To have someone doing that is a huge weight off of me, because that is a very cumbersome and time-consuming process. I mean, I know how to do it, but having someone else do it and it's all quick, and they save us money because they know how to use the USPS software and all the ins and outs, which I wasn't aware of and I wasn't apprised of so because we're just one little person, one little entity doing it, and this is what they do professionally, so they know much more. Anyway, so I guess I was meant to say, the conclusion to all of that is, it may, depending what we decide, it may be just as easy to have them do it, depending what we end up with. And the other bit is that the open space survey was primarily online, though people could email or call to receive a copy in the mail. So that is another option whereby we could possibly lean heavily on online and then mail out. We could mail out, or I could mail out, or we, depending what we decide, mail out the ones to people who we ask for them.
And we do have it, our town coming up at some point, although I don't know when,
Right.
but it might be too soon for our purposes.
Yeah, we may be looking at the winter at this point, depending. Um, um, so-
The cynical me thought if we want people to start thinking about alternative housing, that might be a good time to ask. I'm so sick of this, this darn driveway and anyway, sorry. That was what the laugh was about.
So, do you want to just carry this over to September and fingers crossed that Joanne will feel well and, to join us?
I'm certainly fine with that, but I feel like I'm the only one doing any talking here, so I'm going to stop.
Well, I contributed to the talking.
Oh, no, but I mean of the other two members.
Yes. Okay. Susan's.
Susan G., I think it's fine to carry it over.
Same, Susan M. I
Okay.
agree with Susan G.
Okay, so we will continue. All right. Whew. All right, now we're down to community resources and we'll turn to Susan Millinger now. If you're ready, Susan, is this a good time for you?
Yes. I went to the little celebration that LifePath had when the Aging and Dementia Friendly Communities project was accepted by AARP. It lasted a half hour. I came a little bit late, but I didn't really miss much. It was mostly a matter of people congratulating LifePath on getting accepted into the AARP program. But I found out some interesting information that I wanted to report because I drew some new conclusions from it. And one of the pieces of information was, okay, everybody knows that Massachusetts as a state participates in the Aging Communities program of AARP. And it was the first state to do that, and I'm not sure how many other states have joined it. There are 150 cities and towns in Massachusetts that belong. There are 30 towns in the Franklin County North Quabbin program. And they include just about all our neighbors. New Salem and Wendell. Leverett is was at the time in the process of applying, and it includes towns like Montague, Greenfield, Athol and Orange, Sunderland, Whately, and a whole bunch of other towns in west over the river that I didn't jot down. So we're going to be, if we don't participate, we're going to be a separate island surrounded by a sea of towns that participate in the program. Which I don't really consider an ideal situation. And also they're going to be, one of the first thing they're doing is having a needs assessment survey. And obviously one of the things they're going to be talking about probably will be not only transportation, which is of interest to us, but also housing, which is of interest to us. And it's an important item for our area. So I really am thinking that it would be advantageous for us to join, to ask this select board to join, so that we could participate in discussions, in surveys and discussions about these issues, which are important to us too. It's very possible, it seems to me, that senior housing might be an easier project to carry through if it were a couple of towns involved. So I'm beginning to think that this may be a lost opportunity, and it might be advisable for us to consider joining it sooner rather than later. That's my report.
I agree with, Susan, I agree with you. This is Susan. Does sound like a good idea to join.
This is Janice. And as I recall, what we told that fellow at LifePath wasn't that we were not interested, but that our select board had an awful lot on its plate at that moment.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
it's not like we said, never mind, we're gonna be this island in a sea of niceness. So,
Yes, and thank you, Janice. And I recall that as well, and that we also wanted to, we didn't feel, at least I know I didn't feel like we had enough understanding about the benefits of joining at that point in time when we really didn't know that much about what was going on.
I recall that too. Thank you for the reminder.
And so we felt like, what are we going to be asking them for if we don't really know? And so since that time, gratefully, Susan Millinger has become informed, because I also had apparently a misunderstanding when I read that Life Path was acknowledged as a participant, that somehow I got in my mind that meant that yes, some communities signed up of themselves, but those of us that didn't were under the umbrella of Life Path. That I drew that conclusion. I'm not sure how, but I did. So what do we, Susan Gomberg says, yes, let's go to the select board. We would want to vote on this, but we would also need a well-educated spokesperson. Susan,
Are you talking about Susan Millinger?
I'm asking you, if, before we proceed.
Susan G. hopes she's talking about Susan Millinger.
I had a faint hope it might be you. Sure,
No,
I would be happy
well,
to,
your
I would be happy to
presentation
bone up.
Yeah, because what you just presented to
Mhm.
us was very clear and was very clear about the benefits of joining. So if you went and told them what you told us, that would be great.
I would be happy to do that. And I think that the procedure for them is not all that complicated. And at this point in time, I can ask other towns what was involved.
Okay. Janice, do you want to say anything before I go ahead?
No, I'm just pleased by this.
Yeah. I thank you, Susan, very much for educating us and for attending and presenting a compelling argument for us to join. And so shall we vote?
Probably would be helpful to vote.
Okay. Would you be willing to make the motion, Susan, as the most informed person?
The COA moves approval of presenting to the select board the idea of joining the Franklin County North Quabbin Aging and Dementia Friendly Communities Project. And Susan Millinger will be the spokesperson to bring the request to the select board. Does that cover it? What we need to
Yes,
say?
and you're the one who's you're making the motion, yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that sounds, I'll second the motion. This is Linda Scott seconding the motion.
Now I have to remember what the heck I said.
All right, we'll wait for you. Let us know when you're ready.
Okay, the COA approves the idea of bringing to the select board, no, wait a sec. The COA approves the bringing to the select board of the idea of joining the Franklin County North Quabbin Aging and Dementia-Friendly Communities. And Susan Millinger will be the spokesperson for this. Does that cover it?
Yes, I would say that we recommend to
Okay,
the select board.
that we
We recommend to the select board that Shutesbury join.
that's better. Okay, the COA approves that do we need to say that?
They recommends, just.
COA recommends?
Yeah. Recommend.
That we
don't say
recommend to
approve,
the
we say
select board?
COA recommends the select board consider, Shutesbury joining the.
Recommends that the select board consider that Shutesbury join.
That sounds
Okay,
good.
and then all the language of who it is, which
Yeah.
I will get the precise title from LifePath.
Okay. All right, so I seconded. So shall we have a roll call vote?
This is Gomberg, aye.
Gray, aye.
Millinger, aye.
And Scott, aye. So what we have to do is the usual way would be to compose an email to the select board and town administrator requesting 10 minutes on the agenda, on a near future agenda. And
And
then
how much detail do I need about what I'm presenting?
I would say like you just the most
The motion.
we're recommending, and that when that you would be making a brief presentation of the benefits.
And
Mm.
the procedure,
Yes, thank you, Janice. Yeah,
Yes, of benefits and procedure.
right.
which you'll get from the other towns, because they're gonna say, well, what do we have to, how do we do this? What?
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
blah.
Right. And if we have if there's some sort of document that needs to be signed, or
There is.
if we have all those materials, then we can get, forward them to the select persons, to Becky and the select board, so that then if they decide, they have the document they have the document to proceed with right away.
I believe they have to write a letter,
Okay.
so I could provide a sample letter.
Mhm.
I was thinking that.
Yes.
So I will draft an email and ship it to you, Linda, for correct approval, revision. Does that make sense?
If everybody else is good with that,
Gomberg, I'm good with it.
Gray's good with it.
Okay, because I could obviously send it to everybody, but Linda is the one with the expertise in this area.
Right.
so I'm happy to work with you to be sure we're all, we have, what we need, so that we're as efficient as possible on this with the select board.
Good. And I want to get a hold of the materials before I send in the email. Well, obviously I do, because they would go with.
Yeah.
So it may take me a
Yes.
week or
Okay.
so to get this organized.
That sounds great. It just, it's just, we're going to move forward, which is
Okay.
good. Okay, so we voted, so we're good. Yes. So I just want to tell you a couple of other things that have come up. this sort of, we receive information through our COA email. And we have at this point in time, we don't have a way to get information out to seniors in our community, because we haven't done a Gazette in a long time. And I mean, that's another, that's another topic, maybe for the next meeting, but that's sort of, we've got information about the Massachusetts senior Medicare patrol people who we had a in service with a while ago. And, they're offering programs again, which we aren't in a position to do right now. But for example, they have personal health care journals to distribute, and we can ask for some. But I could do that and then just put them somewhere in town hall when people come in to do their business. It's just right now, I don't know, I'm just expressing that I don't know how, we have these informational things, like we've got a brochure about the Medicare advisory, Medicare advocacy project that helps people understand their Medicare rights, and it's through community legal aid. There are all these programs that there's coupons for people who are seniors, who are families and single adults and seniors, to get extra funds for farmers markets. And it's just, anyway, I just wanted you to know that there are, these resources and how to get the word out to people. I see it and I feel like, oh, where do we go with this?
Would it be, I think you want to discuss this at another meeting, so
Yeah.
I don't know that I want to generate ideas now.
Yeah, I just want to put out that there are worthwhile community resources that we could potentially find a way to communicate to people in the community. We just.
And this is Janice Gray speaking. And Linda had sent me something about this Medicare advocacy thing. And saying, can this be on the website at one point? And we've kind of backburnered that whole website update business. And part of the problem is that I pointed out that the legal aid outfit is not a government entity, so I couldn't just put a link. But there are other ways to connect people to it without a direct hyperlink. So, I don't want to get into the website in detail now either, but and I don't think that the website is the best way to communicate with our audience. Right. But it's one way. Yeah, so that's all.
Okay. Yes. So that's another item to table and think about. What we could outsource a Gazette. The biggest job would be updating our mailing label, creating a spreadsheet for our mailing labels. But that could be done. So anyway, that's more to think about.
You remember at that joint meeting with Village Neighbors and COAs?
Oh, right.
There was some talk about sharing the possibility of co-publishing, co-editing, co-producing, really, a bulletin, a newsletter.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up, Susan, because I can forward them information. And then they can decide whether it wants to go in their newsletter.
Yeah.
And that meeting was not just about Village Neighbors, but
Mm-mm.
the other towns, like the Wendell Council on Aging, for example, talking about could we share a newsletter somehow?
Yeah.
And this was pre-COVID,
Yes.
just pre-COVID.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the idea that we could have joint events. So it wasn't only Village Neighbors. I just want to
No.
point that out.
Janice is absolutely right. I couldn't remember which town it was. Do you think it was Wendell? But that it was another town.
Yeah, it'll be in my notes.
COA.
It was Wendell.
Was it? Thanks.
Yes. Nancy Spittle.
Right. Well, she brought that up when she came to our meeting, but it was also at this joint session
Right. Right.
that Susan and I attended, Susan M.
Right.
Yeah, and the editor, this is Susan M., the editor of the Wendell one was definitely interested in cooperating.
Mhm. And, right now it seems like funneling information to Village Neighbors is the best way to do it, because they clearly have a skilled person creating their newsletter, at least for my eye, and color and everything. And so I could, just as things come in that they might not get because they're not a COA, I can send them on. And if other people send them to them too, that's
Good
great.
idea.
So that helps me feel like, okay, right, I can do something. Okay, thank you for indulging me on that.
It's also a good reason to give them more money.
Ooh.
Yeah, so we'll take that into consideration. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is it's time to consider our annual town report, or our annual report for the town report. Janice did a fine job last year. And I don't know if she'd be interested or if someone else would like to jump in.
Janice does such a great job.
I've done 2 of them.
That's
So
right. That's right.
I was hoping she'd volunteer again.
I kind of got into the pattern, so I could, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Janice.
Thank you, Janice.
Thanks, Janice.
So I know the answer is it should have been done yesterday, but when you have a time?
Yes.
At the timing?
End of the year, by the end of December.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is FY21 annual report. I wrote 22, which is wrong. Okay.
Yes.
You're lucky, Janice. I mean, I think I'm going to be stuck doing the one for Cemetery Commission. I've only been a member for a couple of months.
Oh,
So it's challenging when you haven't been through the year.
well, that's what the first one was like.
Okay, thanks for pointing that out.
Okay, so the next item on the agenda is, I'm just forwarding you, Janice, the newsletter instructions, of which you're apprised of, but
Newsletter instructions?
not newsletter, annual report instructions, sorry. Okay,
Oh, is this the one about everything in 12 point?
yeah.
Okay, yeah, which I don't think I ever saw.
Yes, so I just sent that on. Okay, so I want to let you know on the subject of other communities. Maybe a week and a half ago, I received a phone call from a woman who lives in Petersham, and she is a member of their Council on Aging, and she was calling around various councils and asking what we do. And so it was, I just want to let you know, we received that inquiry and I answered it, and it was really a pleasure to share what we've done pre-pandemic and what we've been able to accomplish subsequently.
I would love to see a copy of that.
It
It's
was a,
cheat sheet.
it was a phone call.
Oh, right. Okay, never
Yeah,
mind.
it was a
Yeah,
phone call.
sorry, I
So,
had my hopes up for a second.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. So, okay. Now we're down to unanticipated topics. And I have a request. My fingers are crossed that Arthur and Paula will be coming at the end of the last week, the week of August 30th, or they're coming before that, but during the week of August 30th, I am wondering if one of you would be willing, and I would teach you how to do this. It's very simple. Be willing to check the COA phone line. You can do it remotely from your, comfort of your home, up two times, maybe three times during that week. Just to, we rarely receive a message, but I like to keep, I check it Monday through Friday when I'm working, but two or three times, just to make sure that if someone calls, we are able to help them. And I'll be around. So if somebody calls and you don't know what to say to them, you can call me and ask me. But I just wondered if someone would be willing to do that.
This is Gomberg. I'd be happy to.
Oh, great. Thank you. Okay. So we'll connect. Okay.
Sounds good.
I'll call you and give you the scoop. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Susan.
Yes, thank you, says
Welcome,
Janice.
Mom. Sure.
Very good.
I think the email will be okay because it's really MCOA and different entities writing in about what their interest, what they have to offer. But I will put a vacation reminder on, so if a member of the public does write in, I'll let them know to please leave a message on our phone line, and or if they need immediate assistance, to talk to Becky. Okay, so it's 6:37. Do we want to take time to talk about, do we want to go back to the tabled items? Do we want to talk about the website or member time estimates or any such things?
I think we kind of covered the website a little bit.
Mhm.
But I don't know what to do with the member time estimate. I have mine.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna sort of dragging them around with me in my notebook, but I don't know if this is something that Joanne needs for the grant application, or if it goes into the annual report, or what.
it doesn't go into the annual report.
No, it hasn't, but
It hasn't, and I personally, I don't think it's relevant. I believe that the last year's grant application, remember, we did spend time compiling our time, and then it ended up that most of what is asked for, we did need our time for it, but Joanne did ask us to do it.
Right.
So
okay.
let's just hold on to it till we know. Everybody okay with that?
And start
Yeah.
keeping track of this year's.
Oh, thanks,
So
Janet.
you aren't trying to do it retroactively. I had to write to Susan M. How long did we spend on that SNAP thing? Yeah, because I couldn't remember. So,
I know, I just kind of like.
Yeah, that's my intention, to estimate. I have basic
Yeah,
times.
I'm just, exactly, I'm kind of thinking what I basically do every month, and then multiplying it with knowing that I
Okay.
attended some things in between. Okay, and how about the financial questions?
I'm happy
Oh.
holding them off another month, but what does the rest, other people think?
we were talking about like the village neighbors request and the MCOA
Yeah.
dues.
Yeah.
I would like it if she's up to coming back for a meeting in September. I would like Joanne to be here for that.
Okay,
Feel weird, you know. There's only 4 of us here, folks.
I know.
It's
Yeah.
I
small.
know, I know.
Good point.
Yeah, so I agree. And in the meantime, I will, for the next meeting, I won't do it now. I'll wait till just before the next meeting, so it's fresh for everybody. Is that okay? To scan the letters and send them to you.
Yes,
And, because I know me, that it's just easier to have it closer to the meeting. And we'll consider all those things and, yes, and we'll have our fingers crossed that Joanne will feel well enough to join us.
yeah.
Anything else?
Ms. Gomberg, nothing from me.
Anybody? No?
Nothing from Gray.
Okay, so shall we have a motion to adjourn?
Ms. Gomberg, I move we adjourn the meeting.
Janice seconds. Gray seconds, sorry.
Okay, roll call vote.
Gomberg, aye.
Gray, aye.
Millinger, aye.
And Scott, aye. Thank you, everybody. Really,
you.
thank you. Yeah. Yeah, this.
Bye, everybody, and
We did a
stay
lot.
cool.
Yes, take care.
You too,
indeed.
Susan.
Yeah.
Take care.
Yeah.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Good night. Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Take care.